Have you ever looked around like a modern conference room or maybe a high-end home theater and just thought about the sheer volume of invisible data flying through the walls? I mean, you've got uncompressed 4K video, audio, keyboard command.
Right, and system control signals too. There's just a ton of it.
Exactly. And usually trying to connect all of that across a massive room results in one thing, which is complete cable spaghetti.
Yeah, an expensive, tangled mess of cords that never seem to reach quite far enough.
Oh, totally. But today's deep dive is really about how the AV industry is cutting through that chaos. So our mission today is exploring the invisible backbone of these high-end setups. And to do that, we're looking at a technical spec sheet for a piece of enterprise hardware called the Hall Technologies GMXS Extender.
Which is a fascinating piece of tech. Because the core promise of this device is, well, it's pretty wild. It takes two separate 4K HDMI video streams, your USB 2.0 data, audio, and RS-232 control signals, and just blast all of it through one standard KT6 network cable.
Up to 100 meters, right? Like 328 feet.
Yeah, exactly. A single cable replacing a dozen different cords.
When I first read that, my brain just immediately pictured this digital super funnel just cramming massive amounts of data into a tiny pipe.
I mean, that makes sense intuitively, but looking closer at how it works, it's actually multiplexing.
Yeah.
So it's more like a highly efficient cheeching port. The sender unit isn't crushing the data.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's taking different types of cargo. So your dual 4K video, your USB signals, and your RS-232. Which, by the way, RS-232 is that old school serial standard that's still heavily used to control commercial equipment.
Right, like projectors or, mechanized blinds.
Exactly. So it takes all that different cargo, packs it into uniform digital shipping containers, and sends them down one single highway, which is the CT6 cable. And the best part is it's entirely plug and play. It's OS independent, meaning absolutely no annoying drivers are required.
Wow. Well, and it does some clever repacking, too. Like, the spec sheet mentions it takes an analog audio input and embeds it directly into the first HDMI stream. Which, wait, how does a piece of hardware just merge an analog sound wave into a...
Oh, it digitizes that analog wave. So it takes that audio, turns it into data packets, and injects those packets into the microscopic blanking intervals of the HDMI signal.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it basically hides the audio data in the tiny fractions of a second between video frames. It literally smuggles the audio inside the video feed to save bandwidth.
That is brilliant. But okay, I get the shipping container idea, but I'm still stuck on the physics of the journey itself. Because since the sender funnels everything into one TT6 cable, how does it successfully unpack all that data hundreds feet away?
Well, that's where the GMXR receiver comes in. It sits at the destination, catches the signal, and restores it to two HDMI outputs, plus it gives you 6 active USB ports.
Right, but traveling over a football field of distance through a single cable, doesn't the video quality inevitably degrade? Like, in the real world, electrical signals degrade. Resistance in the wire causes voltage to drop.
You'd think so, but no. We aren't sending an analog wave that can get fuzzy. We're sending those digital packets. In the digital realm, a packet of data either arrives intact or it doesn't.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the source explicitly notes there is 0 video quality reduction and no calibration required. The receiver perfectly rebuilds the 2 HDMI streams.
Okay, so your actual computer is locked in a server rack hundreds of feet away, but you have your dual monitors, mouse, keyboard, and maybe a touch screen all running flawlessly at a desk.
Exactly. And if 328 feet somehow isn't far enough, each receiver actually has an RJ45 LIN COAT port.
Let me guess, so you can daisy chain the signal?
Precisely.
Yeah.
Because the receiver actively rebuffers the signal, meaning it cleans the packets up and blasts out a fresh copy, you can daisy chain it down to downstream receivers for another 100 meters.
That's crazy. Okay, but I do have a massive red flag here.
Uh-oh. What's that?
Well, you just put 6 live USB ports in a public conference room, and they are piped directly into a host computer that is supposed to be securely locked away. That sounds like a hacker's dream. Anyone could stroll by, plug in a rogue flash drive, and deploy malware.
Right. The engineers designing this system clearly had the exact same thought. The spec sheet reveals a really fascinating hardware-level safeguard. For strict security, all USB memory devices are completely disabled by default.
Wait, really? So a presenter's slide clicker or keyboard works fine, but a thumb drive is just dead plastic?
Exactly. It allows control interfaces, but entirely blocks mass storage. If you actually need USB memory capabilities at those remote ports, you have to physically contact Hall Research to authorize and enable that specific feature.
Oh, wow. So it just removes the vulnerability of an open remote data port entirely. That is super smart.
It really is.
So why does this matter to you? Well, whether you're mapping out a massive commercial distribution system or you just geek out over how data travels without loss, this $1,990 device, which by the way is currently 15% off, shows the sheer power of modern data extension.
Yeah, the ability to completely separate the processing hardware from the user interface without losing an ounce of fidelity or security, I mean, it changes how we can design the spaces around us.
Which leaves us with a really interesting final thought. If enterprise hardware can already perfectly funnel dual 4K video, audio, and secure control data hundreds of feet through a cheap, basic network cable, well, how will our physical workspaces transform when these massive extension capabilities become standard in our everyday personal devices?
Oh, yeah. Imagine a future where your monitor is literally just a piece of glass on a sleek desk, and all the loud, hot processing power is tucked away out of sight in another room entirely.
Exactly. The cable spaghetti isn't just getting organized, it might be destined to disappear completely.